Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Vyzer Visionaries. I'm your host, as usual, Litan Yahav, and we're continuing our series diving deep into the challenges of managing complex wealth with the nation's leading wealth professionals. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Kevin Best. Kevin's the founder of Best Times Financial. That's where he helps high net worth families, basically as their personal CFO, leveraging a proprietary process they have called custom wealth architecture. So thank you so much for joining us, Kevin. I'd love to hear more about that. If you can give us like a short, intro background about yourself.
Thank you, Litan. Yeah, absolutely. My dad actually started Best Times Financial back in 1982, and then I bought the business from him back in 2007. So those of you who are looking at major recessions, not the best time to buy a financial business, but it was the best time to sell a financial business was around 2007. So we got through that. And what we utilize is custom wealth architect. A phrase that we say to our clients is we're personal CFOs for them. We like to use what we call a virtual family office as well. And so we're more geared towards the families that are probably in net worth ranging from a low of about $5 million of net worth to a high of about $30 million of net worth. And those are the families that, when you think about it, they're usually first generation wealth, maybe second generation at times, but mostly first generation. And they're new to the wealth game. And so they don't have family offices and attorneys and accountants and people on staff that they've had for generations that they can work with that help them understand what wealth does for them and for their family and for the community, for their employees, for all of those different people that they have. So our architect program, along with being their personal CFO and our virtual family offices, allows us to put together a plan for them and then implement that plan utilizing whatever experts that they need for whatever things they need at that time that they need them. And then working with them over time, being the first person they call for whatever issues that they have that deal with anything related to really their financial lives. We are the first person they call to be able to, if they don't have that specific, like let's say they're looking for a specific type of attorney, they don't have an attorney like that. They have an estate attorney. Usually they have one of those, but they might not have a real estate attorney, or they have a real estate attorney, but they don't have an estate or an elder care. So we'll go out and vet that attorney, find out who they need. We utilize our peers to find the best ones, plus also different other methods that we utilize to vet that the experts that we're going to bring to them are ones that can actually do the job for them. That has taken on a lot of different scope over the last 5 to 10 years. We're in Western New York, and so the vast majority of my high net worth clients do not live in Western New York. They live all over the United States, which means that I'm not going to be on friendly relations with every estate attorney in every city, town, municipality across the United States. So we have to really rely upon our network to find them the best people possible. And then for them, the personal CFO side allows them to say, okay, Kevin's role with Best Times Financial and his team is to make sure that everything is organized in a way that for myself and for my family, if anything ever happens to me, that they know who to call and who can take over and be that organizer person, so that if I need a power of attorney, or I need an executor, or I need a trustee, that those people can feel that they're supported by us as well.
Got it. So if I want to simplify it for
That was probably a lot.
Well, no, I mean it's a lot because you guys do a lot, so it makes sense 100%. And as you can imagine, I've spoken with a lot of different in the space, and it's really interesting how each define their service to their clients, right? So you use the phrase personal CFO and also virtual family office. Would you say that, I kind of feel like there's a key differentiator between like a wealth manager to a multifamily office. Usually it's around the sense of a wealth manager can tend to be more an asset manager, touching a part of their portfolio, but actively managing that part. And a multifamily office doesn't necessarily have to manage any portfolio or have any asset management component to them, but they do have
Correct.
full oversight.
Right.
So do you guys have that full oversight and
Yes.
do some asset management, or is it
We
only the
We only do the oversight. We outsource everything under the management of the assets. And the reason for that, Litan, is a couple different things. One, if I'm going to be their best organizer, if I'm going to be great at organizing their financial lives and understanding what's going on legally for them, tax wise for them, their investments, including their businesses that they own, their cash flow, medical issues that they or their family might be dealing with. If I am going to be that person who knows how to work in all of those areas, what we talk to our clients about is we're like the Rio Grande. We are a mile wide in our information. We're only about a foot deep in our knowledge of those areas. So what that allows us to do is to become really good at understanding where they are, the scope, the big picture, and then also bringing in the experts so that when we need that deep dive on whatever area it is, we know how to get it and we know how it relates to every other aspect of their life.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right. So, and just like roughly to understand the scope, how many clients more or less do you guys currently manage or families?
Myself and my partner manage approximately 200 and I think 40 families. Each of us are about at 120 families that we work.
Awesome. That's big. That's a nice size of business. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. So when you think about the life cycle of a client, there's the first touch point, right? A prospect. Would you say that most of those prospects are, marketing efforts or word of mouth?
It's almost 100% word of mouth at this point. I'm really bad at social media. I don't have a Facebook account at this point. I only look at LinkedIn when I need to, I guess, and I don't need to too much.
Right.
So yeah, my marketing efforts are really poor. My partners are a little bit better. She's younger than me, and she's a little bit better at it. But no, I'm really bad at it. So we have to rely that we do a fantastic job for our clients, and they want to introduce us to their friends.
I think it's a really common in the industry to see the vast majority of increase of, I don't want to say AUM, but like increase of clients is word of mouth,
Yeah,
because it's a service based business, and you know the uh, the more your clients are happy, the better the chances of them to tell their friends, and it's a
right.
really relationship driven business. All right, so you have those prospects that are word of mouth, and then a new prospect comes, you hop on a call with them. What is and they're convinced they want to join. All right, what does that onboarding process look like?
So the onboarding process is there's a process for everything that we do, and that's incredibly important for us. So being that personal CFO, meaning that we're organized, meaning that anything that a client has, we better have a process in place to make sure that whatever they want to get done gets done, that their objectives all get met. So client calls us up, they have a friend that they want to introduce us to. The first thing that happens, similar to you, we send out our email Calendly area. They get all of those things set up. The next step is that our team gets into motion all of the different areas that the client may want to talk about, the prospect may want to talk about. They reach out to them, make sure that they understand what they're going to have in the conversation, that they have all of the information they need about us so that they can ask really good questions in their meeting about, hey, why would I want to hire you over the guy that's down the street because you're in Western New York and I'm in Texas or something like that? And why do I want to do that? And so we want them to be fully prepped and prepared for that meeting so that they get as much education out of that as possible. So once they've decided they want to hire us, what they do, they initially pay a fee for putting together the plan. That planning fee is usually adjusted on an annual basis at this point in time. So they pay up front, get the plan done, and then on a year by year basis, we look at the plan, we determine if there's anything that we need to work on the plan with them and with other experts, and there's a fee associated with that. If by the time the plan is completed, there is any financial products, insurances, or any investments or anything there that they want us to directly oversee, we outsource it to money managers that we have vetted, and the money managers, similar to many other organizations, pay us a fee to do that. And that allows us, Latana, to make sure that we are monitoring the money managers in a way that says, I was always concerned about the wealth manager who manages assets, because if the markets go bad or when the markets go bad and the portfolio goes down, well, Is the fault of the portfolio going down? Is that the fault of the markets or fault of the money manager or fault of the advisor who chose those? There's three different areas. If you're managing all three sections, how do you know which is which? And so what we've said to the clients is we want to be fully transparent so that we're outsourcing all of this stuff. We can compare money managers against their peers, and we can figure out if it's, well, hey, the market's just bad in the area that they're in, and this is what's happened. Is it the money managers that have done poorly because we can measure against their peers? Or is it me? Did I choose bad money managers for what their objectives were? And it becomes very clear to the client which one is which. And so that allows us to be very transparent with them and allows for the client to be educated and confident in the decisions that they make. Hopefully not to fire us, but if they need to, they know exactly.
Yeah, and we sort of jumped a bit forward, so sort of, right, they're already managing, already putting, you're already selecting the different managers, but still on the onboarding process.
Yeah,
what
sure.
What you're saying is you guys start with the planning side, so you gather all the information
Correct.
from the client, and then you ask them about probably a lot of questions, and then help them prepare their financial plan, right? And that's sort of the first step in the process of onboarding a new client, correct?
Correct.
Are there clients who come to you already with like no, I already have a plan, I just want to come to you to help me execute it? Does that happen?
Pretty much every client comes to us with a plan, whether they've written it themselves or somebody else has written it. The vast majority of times, actually, I have never run into a plan where the plan that they have provided to us meets all of their own objectives. And so we have to rewrite the plan every time anyways. And oftentimes that's because the advisor who wrote it maybe is not fully trained in understanding that net worth or the issues. They might be more of a wealth manager, which means that they have to focus a lot of their time on investments instead of understanding tax laws, understanding the legal issues, understanding auto and home insurance, understanding areas that we can't directly oversee or don't want to directly oversee, but understanding those issues and seeing how they collide with the objectives that the client has. And so that's been important to us. And so we have not yet run into a plan that has been properly done before we ran into it.
Right. And are there situations where you have a client come to you with a plan or with desires or goals that it doesn't matter what you do, the risk of achieving them is so high and the chances are so low that you'll just say, listen, I mean, we can't help you achieve those goals. So that's like not realistic. Does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to be totally honest with them. I think education is the most important aspect of what we deliver to our clients. They need to be educated to allow them to have confidence enough that whatever objective they want, are they going to meet it or not? And they have to be conscious and understanding of that. If it's an objective that's way out of the realm of reasoning, if we're not being honest with them and we're not educating to them to the why that is, and they don't understand why they can't do it. And one of the things that I think is most important in that aspect is it doesn't matter if I tell them we can't do it. They have to believe that they can't do it. So we have to give them enough information to be able to come to that conclusion. If we just tell them that, they might just say, I'm just going to go to the next person. And somebody's going to say, yeah, we can do that, even though it is not possible. So we have to be better than anybody who's just selling them. And so what we do is, hey, here's the deal. If you agree with all of this stuff, let's keep moving forward. If you don't agree with it, then we're not the place you want to work.
Right. Okay. So you go through that onboarding process, you gather all that information, you prepare a plan, you educate them that this is the best plan for them, and then sort of, and you introduce them to managers in order to implement this plan, correct? Like
Correct.
That's the next step. How long
Yeah,
is
or
it?
attorneys or accountants or any of the other experts that we have to bring into the plan. Yeah, correct.
How long does that process take on average from the moment sort of a client said, I'm in, until the moment that like they have a plan fully set up?
The simplest case where somebody comes to us, they were like, let's say, a CEO of a major organization. They have all liquid assets. They don't really have a business or anything like that. The shortest time period is usually somewhere between 8 and 10 weeks. But if you own a business and we have multiple family issues that we have to deal with, multiple owners, that can take 6 to 8 months to get completed. There's still plans, and frankly, we've had plans that have gone beyond a year before we've been able to actually create the plan so that we can start implementing the plan, because there are so many intricate and detailed and confusing issues that need to be discussed within the plan before we can actually.
How often during that process do you interact with clients? So if it takes 6 to 8 months or even a year,
Yeah.
is it like what is it monthly calls? Is it, what how does it
At whatever the client needs. So we charge, as I said, we charge an upfront fee. So we kind of take that into account in our first meeting as part of our understanding of the client is we really want to understand what the issues are going to be. And so our job is to make sure that we're charging a reasonable enough amount of dollars that whatever meetings they want to have within that period of time that we're anticipating, that we're getting paid properly for that. And if for some reason we charge too little, that's on us. I'm not going to go back to the client and say, hey, listen, I thought this was going to take 10 weeks, but it's taken us 6 months and we need to recharge it. That's on me. That's part of my due diligence to make sure that I'm understanding the client's objectives and needs and concerns
right?
in the first couple meetings. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, that's really an interesting approach. The plan itself and implementing it, would you say there's a unique approach you guys take to that implementation or architecture or of the plan itself?
Yeah, I think that the whole thing is there, so I've been in the business since 2001, 24 years going at this point, and the biggest thing that I have found is that there's no silver bullet. There's nothing that we do that is that much different than anybody else, and I can relate it to so we're in Western New York, so we obviously have the best quarterback in the entire league. Josh Allen. Josh Allen is an amazing football player. We'd love to watch him play, but he's a quarterback, just like the kid at the high school level. They still do the same exact things, right? They throw a ball to a wide receiver, a running back, hopefully don't throw it to the defensive back, and they try to score touchdowns. That's their role, right? But nobody would compare Josh to a quarterback from high school and say, oh, they're the same. When we look at what we do, is that there's an evolution in terms of the capabilities that we have versus anybody else. I think coming out of the gate, if you were brand new to the sector of the finance world that we're in, you couldn't do what we did. You need experience, you need capabilities, you need to know what teams you need to build to surround your clients with the best people possible. So it takes a long time to get to the level we're at, and it's evolving. When I first got into business in 2001, I would say I was much more a gatherer of assets, and I would tell people how to invest into different mutual funds. As my education increased and as my capabilities increased, I was able to delegate stuff out that didn't make sense for me to do. And now I'm at what I believe at this point in time is the top of the pyramid in terms of the work that people in my profession do. We're a very small set of people. I think there's people like me across the country. There's just not that many. It's the top of the pyramid. I think it's the ability that we have to be able to understand all sections of a person's financial world, regardless of where we're coming from. If I can help an attorney figure out what they need to be able to do for their client, if I can help an accountant do the same thing, or a bank or a loan officer, my role is to help them. And I need to understand their roles as well as they do. And I wouldn't have been able to do this 15 years ago, but today I can. And so I think that evolution allows us to grow. The biggest part that I see that people fail in my area is that they don't continually go out and educate themselves to be better. And if you're striving to always be better, if your passion is to always be better, then I think you can do what I do. But if your passion is, hey, I would like to golf 3 days a week, you're not going to be as good as me, but that's okay. You'll have a good lifestyle, but that's where it goes. And the clients won't get as much support out of that way. And again, as long as the clients are okay with that, that's great. But a lot of my clients, they need support, but they don't need support all the time. They need it at really specific times. A parent has passed away. A husband goes into hospice. A child goes into bankruptcy or gets divorced, or the family, something happens. And man, they need somebody that's going to be able to help them in that area. And they have to be confident that I can put together that team and that I am the person that they can trust and rely upon to oversee everything that's happening.
Because you've been around in the industry for, quarter decade almost,
Yeah.
you know, the elephant in the room is all around tech and AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've heard a complaint from many advisors, saying I have to deal with too much self-education or thinking that they're educated. It's like, doctors complain of patients coming in with a, pre-diagnosis that they got from a ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, whatever the AI is.
Yeah, right.
And I'm hearing something similar happening in the financial industry.
Yep.
I don't know your clientele if they're on the older side of the spectrum or younger, but are you feeling any of that, sinking, whatever, segueing into
No.
your industry?
Yeah, we're actually really excited about AI. We utilize AI for tools like for looking over legal documents, looking over tax documents, listening to the meetings that we're in. We're always looking to have AI help build us a better tool, better toolbox. And I think AI is going to be great for us. I think it's going to knock a lot of people out of business though, because if you think about it, like let's specifically go to the wealth manager who picks the Pepsi over Coca-Cola as a stock or Nvidia over Apple, right? I'm pretty sure AI is going to do that better than they are, and for a cheaper cost. So what do they need that wealth advisor for if all they're going to do is manage money? So I think there's going to be a lot of people who are out of job in 5 years or maybe 10 years at the most if they don't evolutionize their practice, if they don't get into the areas that we get into. Am I concerned? I'm not concerned at all because right now, I don't know how AI is going to do it, but if you think about it, you think about all the layers that a person has to be able to accomplish when they're working in our business. They have to understand tax, legal, insurances, investments, liquid versus non-liquid. Then, on top of all that, they have to understand the client and the family and the psychology that goes beyond that. And so when you think about it and you're like, why do clients always make illogical moves? Well, if you understand the client and their psychology, then you can do that. An AI tool is built on past, on everything that's on the internet, right? So there's no real opportunity at this point in time for AI to be able to read your body language, to be able to read, hey, did you notice the little tick that just happened when we brought up X? And boy, we have to write that down and get back to it. So the more AI we can utilize, the better, because it allows us to focus more in on the behavioral psychology, or the behavioral finance of the families we're dealing with, not the individual, the families. And so I love the idea of AI. I think it's the best thing out there. I think it's going to continually adapt and grow our business, and it's going to allow us to be better and better as time goes on.
That's a whole conversation we can have because you just opened up a whole Pandora's box and we don't have time to dive in.
Yeah, right.
In terms of just on
that'll be next time's conversation. Yeah. All right.
So clients, when they come to you, you don't feel like they're already educating themselves with AI before coming to you.
I think they are. I think they go out and look at it, but they don't. It's if you go out onto the internet or you ask Gemini a question, Gemini's basing it upon, or ChatGPT, they're basing it upon 2 million responses. So is that response specific to that individual? Absolutely not. Or that specific family and all the nuance that that family brings to the table. Plans are very similar, but they're all unique. Right? We're all dealing with the same building blocks, but every plan is unique. Every building is unique. Everything that we do is unique. That's why we talk about the architecture of it. We all use the same tools. We all use the same materials, but every plan that the client has is unique.
I love it. And I like, it makes so much sense when you define it. There's the architecture and then there's the building of it actually. And then there's the understanding what to build, which is before the architecture, that's the planning and,
Right.
and interviewing the client beforehand. So yeah, I like that analogy.
Thank you.
Cool. Listen, Kevin, I can go on for hours and we're coming up on time here, but
Yeah.
Is there anything sort of you want to leave our audience with before we sort of sign off here?
I think if they like what they heard and they want to get in touch with me, my email is kbest@besttimesfinancial, and my website is besttimesfinancial.com. They're more than welcome to get a hold of me, and we can talk to see if we can help them, and we can have a joint conversation and a joint decision on that. But I appreciate you bringing me out today, and I hope this really does well for you and your listeners.
Yeah, appreciate it. And we're going to share all that information in the show notes below. And I really appreciate this, Kevin. This has been another incredible conversation. Thanks so much for sharing these valuable insights. And for those but those who want to connect, like I mentioned, I'll share everything below. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe with more conversations like this. And until next time, keep investing smart. Thanks a lot for joining us.